You'll find a Mets fan. Let's go. This is a Mets year. For all your Mets here, let's go. Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home
Stadium, the big story, METS 86. Exciting, thrilling, awesome. Let's take a look.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets and Rob, and welcome to the first Mets free agent frenzy of the offseason for the 2023 season. And ladies and gentlemen, one of the top 20 free agents that some Mets fans believe could be a potential DH protecting Pete Alonso in the lineup in 2023, Jose Abreu. He is off the board and going to the Houston Astros on a 3-year, $20 million deal. That seems like a pretty damn good deal for any team looking for a DH and somewhat of a backup first baseman as well. He's up there in age. He's 36 years old. 3-year deal is kind of risky, but under $10 million per year is not bad, to be honest with you. It's really not that bad, and I think that's a huge pickup for the Houston Astros. And I don't think Jose Abreu would have changed everything about the Mets lineup. He's basically a similar player than a lot of the other Mets. He hits for average. All right, give me 1 second. About the sound a little bit. All right, we're good? All right, cool. All right, so he hits for average. He's not a big-time power hitter. And he is a guy that can hit about 15 to 18 home runs, which is not bad considering the fact that you need quality hitters, and that's what Jose Abreu is. But we are looking for that power back, that dynamic bat. And that's something that we have to look at for the New York Mets. But let's not mistaken that Jose Abreu would have been a decent option at DH. And again, would that have been my first choice? I mean, some people wanted Josh Bell, but Jose Abreu is just a professional player. And that's something that, the Mets have a lot of the professional bats, but the thing that we lacked, and we talked about this until the cows came home, was the fact that the New York Mets lacked power in certain positions. And when the Mets struggled, it was when 2 or 3 batters in their lineup were cold and we couldn't get 3 or 4 hits together to knock in a couple of runs unless we prayed that Pete Alonso hit a home run when he came up with men on. And that's a huge concern, and that continues to be the huge concern. We hear about DeGrom. We hear about Rodon. We hear about this pitcher, that pitcher. But we haven't heard a lot about the Mets doing, or at least rumored to do things offensively. And that's concerning to me. Yeah, you can talk about the last week of the season where the Braves debacle happened and the Padres series happened with the pitching. But pitching wasn't necessarily our problem for the season. And the bigger problem was when you face bad teams, your offense is supposed to be the dominant part of a situation where the Mets should have dominated those type of bad starting pitcher, and they did not do that. And you can talk about Marte being out in the month of September. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. You want to blame this guy, you want to blame that guy. But the lack of power was concerning, and it was continuing to be concerning. A lot of Met fans' daughter was some didn't care because of the fact that early parts of the season, the Mets were top 3 in runs scored, but that's when the offense was clicking on all cylinders. Everybody looked like they were doing their job. They were playing to the back of their baseball cards. And, when they got 3, 4, 5 hits together, they would knock in a couple of runs. But it came down to the fact that later in the season, the wear and tear of the season, the dog days of August into September, those same players weren't getting 3, 4, 5 hits in a row to get those runs in. And we counted on the power to help get those runs across, right? A 3-run homer, one swing of the bat is a lot easier than getting 4 hits in a row to get 1 or 2 runs home. That's just common sense. And there isn't anybody on the market except Aaron Judge that is actually a power hitter that is a free agent. And if the Mets are not serious about trying to get Aaron Judge, then you have to look at another player that is more of a dynamic player, and that is Trey Turner. Again, there's a ton of shortstops on the market that can play, could play second, could play third. Correa can be that player as well. Swanson, I like Swanson, but I don't really see him as that dynamic player, even though he's very good. Xander Bogaerts is another option, but none of these guys are going to provide the power that this Mets team lacked in 2022. And that's the same concerning issue that I have this year. And if the Mets, and if you did check out my video before the stream about Brandon Nimmo, if the Mets are really serious about bringing back Brandon Nimmo, and they seem like they're very focused on Jacob deGrom and Brandon Nimmo, well, then what else are the Mets going to do? Because I've been saying this over and over again in the live streams in my video. I truly believe the Mets are either going to get Brandon Nimmo or get Trey Turner. And if it turns out that they get Brandon Nimmo and that takes them out of any situation of trying to get Trey Turner, you're bringing back basically the same team. And if you saw the reports today, the Mets feel like they have the DH option internally. So if that's Vientos, if that's Vogelback, if whoever you can think of, if they want to platoon it with Alvarez and Vientos and everything like that. But these are question marks. We don't know these guys. I need proven guys. That's the way I see it. Again, I'm not saying you can't give Alvarez a chance or Vientos a chance, but what can we do about that? That's the problem that I'll keep on going back to. And don't worry, guys, I will be doing a video on Devers tomorrow. So that one's going to pop up at 6 o'clock tomorrow. So that's going to be interesting. And there's the talks with Devers. I was looking at the chat and I saw Devers. Devers is a very interesting conversation because of the fact that the Red Sox can't work out a negotiation with Devers. Like, they're very far apart in negotiations. So, and he's on his last year of his contract. If I'm the Mets, I call up Boston and say, what do you want? I don't even give them players. I say, what do you want? Because getting Devers at 26 years old is already a better option than Brett Beatty, is already a better option than Alvarez, and maybe even Mauricio for that matter. I do what you got to do to get Rafael Devers. It's just very simple. And there is no way in hell that I'm going to say no to the Red Sox on any player. I don't care if it's Alvarez, Beatty, Mauricio, Alex Ramirez. I don't care. Anybody in my top 5, let me know. He has 1 year left on his deal. He's technically a rental, but the Mets ain't going to trade for Devers and not sign him. So what do you do? And that's the other problem as well, right? You're looking at the free agent market. There's no power bats other than Aaron Judge. If the Mets aren't serious about Aaron Judge, you have to look about the trade route. All I keep on coming back up with is Rafael Devers. I did a video today that I have been editing for tomorrow. So Devers was on my mind. And that's something that the Mets have to look at if they're not serious about Trey Turner enough. I see. This is what pisses me off. And I don't know if it's Epler. I don't know what it is. But you can't. I don't know how any Mets executive, I don't care if it's analytics, I don't care if it's Epler, I don't care if it's Cohen. What is the infatuation with Brandon Nimmo? And on top of that, when you look at it and you could put the stats up and the player of Trey Turner and the stats up and the player of Brandon Nimmo, and you choose Brandon Nimmo over Trey Turner, if that's the case. Again, I'm not in that room. I don't know what they're thinking. But it's hard for me to believe that the Mets would, if they had to choose one, pick Nimmo over Turner. I just don't see how that's logical at all from my perspective. And unless the Mets want to get Nimmo and think they have a good shot of getting Turner, that's a different story. Again, if you get both of those guys, now we're having the offseason that I expect the Steve Cohen Mets to have, right? And that's not even including what we can do in pitching. Because I think if you can get Jacob deGrom and you can get Kodai Senga, I think you could be working very well with this rotation. You got Scherzer, you got deGrom, you got Senga, you got Carrasco, and let Peterson and McGill fight it out for the 5th spot. I like that rotation going into the season because at the end of the day, let me know the teams that survived in the playoffs and went far into the playoffs who really had dominant starting pitching throughout. Because nobody really did. Right? It was the offensive teams, the juggernauts, the power teams that succeeded going further into the playoffs, not the great starting pitching that supposedly the Mets had. So we went into last season. Look at this rotation. Nobody wants to face us in the playoffs. Nobody wants to face us in a short season, short playoffs because of their rotation. You know, who wants to go into a 5-game series when you got Scherzer, deGrom, and Bassett? Well, how did that turn out? Right? If you keep on putting all your eggs into the rotation, into the basket with rotation, and think that's the only way, logically, you can get further into the playoffs and a deep playoff run, it's not only starting pitching. And your pitchers don't have to be that good. They just have to be good enough, and that's what they should do, right? It's not only about the rotation. It has to be about the lineup. You can't bring back the same lineup. You can't say, all right, well, we got Alvarez. We're going to try him out with Nito, and we're going to play Nito more at catcher, but we're going to use Alvarez about 20% of the time behind the plate, and we're going to DH him. Okay, I don't mind that idea, but you can't come to me with a straight face when it comes to Epler and say, well, we think internally we have DH options. Well, yeah, well, every team has internal DH options, but are they good options, right? We have no idea what Alvarez is going to be, right? Just because he's the MLB's number 1 prospect and he's the number 1 prospect in the Mets system does not mean he's going to be the player that we all hoped for him to be. The same thing goes for Brett Beatty. The same thing goes for Mark Vientos. Not saying you don't give these guys a chance, but if you don't go out and get Trey Turner, if you decided not to give a contract to Jose Abreu, and these guys that you say help or that are good at DH or that have the internal options and they fail, well, now you're stuck because now you're into the season and these guys are not doing well, and it's not like anybody's going to make a trade with you now until probably the deadline. So you're going into the first half with bad options already if they're not working out. And that's the biggest concern that I have. There is no reason with the Steve Cohen money that there should be any question at any position. I'm not saying get all-stars at every position. That is naive. I sound like a Yankee fan if I do that. And I'm not that type of person. I understand you can't get all-stars, superstars at every single position. But I want to go to the Yankees in 2008 into 2009. In 2008, they didn't make the playoffs. They got into the new Yankee Stadium. In 2009, what do? They signed CC Sabathia. They signed Max Scherzer. I mean, sorry, not Max Scherzer, excuse me. Mark Teixeira. And they made those 2 big signings. And there was the other guy too. I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank here, but it was oh God. Come on, guys, help me out here. Jesus. Burnett. There you go. Burnett, Sabathia, Teixeira. That was the 3 big signings they got. And that was with almost the end of the core 4 in 2009. So they had those guys. They had Burnett, they got Sabathia, and they got Teixeira, right? Those were huge signings, right? The Yankees was the biggest problem was they had no ace. They had no bulldog in their rotation. So they got Burnett and they got Sabathia to head up their rotation. And they got one of the best players on the market, free agent players on the market in Teixeira. And there you go right there. So I'm not saying the recipe is this is what the Yankees did. That's the way the Mets do it. No, but the Yankees saw the problem in 2008. They were getting older. They had a couple of years left, maybe 1 or 2 years left with that core four. So they went out and got the necessary needs of their team. It was the top end of the rotation, and they needed a first baseman, and they got the best two available in Sabathia and Teixeira, and it won them a World Series the following year. Now, I'm not saying to do something like that, but it's obvious what the Mets need. The Mets need power, and if they don't want to go after Aaron Judge for whatever stupid reason, because there is no reason why the richest owner in baseball, who needs an outfielder, doesn't go after Aaron Judge. No matter what you think of Aaron Judge, if you don't think he's going to stay healthy, if you don't think he's going to have a similar season like he had in 2019 or even last year, there is no doubt that Aaron Judge is probably going to be either number 1 or number 2 in home runs in this Mets lineup. There's no doubt about that. So you can't say that the Mets can't be in it. And if that's true, then 1, the Mets ain't doing their job. 2, you're already going to second-tier players, which, again, are not bad options, but they're not Aaron Judge, right? If you're going to bring back Nimmo and you bring back Turner, that's great. I don't think most people would be annoyed at that. I think that would be a pretty good way to make your lineup more dynamic. But what about Aaron Judge? What about Trey Turner? Or if not, how about going after maybe a Xander Bogaerts? Maybe you can throw at second or third. Something like that. Could you do that? But it makes no sense to me. The most important thing the Mets were lacking last year was power. Aaron Judge provides that, and also plays right field, where you have a right fielder who's been a center fielder their entire career. You paid Starlin Marte center field money to play right field because, according to Buck, Starlin Marte has a great arm, so you put him in right field. But I don't believe they put Marte in right field because of his arm. I believe they are so in love with Brandon Nimmo that they left him in center field because they love Nimmo so much. And they overpaid Marte center field salary to play right field. And again, Marte was great. There's nothing bad I can say about Marte. But if you're going to get the best player on the market last offseason, which was Starlin Marte, then there's no reason why you can't be in on Aaron Judge, who is the best free agent available on the market for right field or for the outfield, right? Because you have the option. If you sign Aaron Judge, you can put Marte in center and Aaron Judge in right, and then problem solved, right? You fix your problem with the power. You got the protection behind Pete Alonso. Your outfield is basically set with Canna, Marte, Judge. Even if Aaron Judge, you got to give a 9-10-year deal to, there's a pretty good chance. Muted, what tells you he can't play center field anymore? I don't understand that, because he had a great year. He had a better year defensively than Brandon Nimmo did last year in 2021. So he was doing very well, and the Mets paid him to be their center fielder. But they changed it. I'm sorry. Marte is a better center fielder than Brandon Nimmo. So that made no sense to move Marte to right field. They moved Marte to right field because of the fact that they love Brandon Nimmo so much. That's the reason why. Well, Transistor, again, I can't get mad at Steve Cohen and Epler, because remember, that was the first year of Sandy Alderson. Alderson is the type of guy that never likes to go past 5 years on any player in free agency. And that was more Sandy Alderson than it was Steve Cohen. Or, obviously it wasn't Billy Epler's problem. I thought it was a big miss not bringing in George Springer. Again, but that's Sandy Alderson staying in love with Brandon Nimmo. He drafted him. He loved him. Why are we going to sign Brandon Nimmo when we have a center fielder? Which Nimmo, in my opinion, is still a corner outfielder, right? I think Nimmo can be a dynamic corner outfielder rather than a good center fielder. Because he's not a bad center fielder. I can't say that. But Nimmo projects to be a corner outfielder. He hits like, I guess you could, I mean, can you call him a corner outfielder? I guess not, offensively, but he is a corner outfielder. I think Nimmo would be a hell of a lot better as a corner outfielder, even better defensively. And I can show you, analytics can probably tell you that. But again, I just don't get it. And it's frustrating as a Mets fan because there is no reason why the biggest need on this Mets team is a power bat and you have an opening in the outfield. Signing Aaron Judge gives you options, right? I'm not saying the Mets should just spend all the money in the world to get Aaron Judge, but they should be one of the teams that have the biggest shot of getting him, right? That's the whole point of Steve Cohen, to have the money to do that. You have needs. There is a guy out there that fills multiple needs, and you're not doing that. I mean, so that whole collusion crap that MLB talked about with the Yankees and Mets is probably true, but MLB is not going to mess with the darling Yankees, and it involves the Mets. So you can't penalize one team and not the other. So MLB is not going to penalize the Mets and not penalize the Yankees. They're going to have to do both. So Anthony, let's see. I'm going to look at the comments really quick, guys, for a second. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, if you didn't hear, Jose Abreu signed a 3-year, $20 million deal with the Houston Astros. A potential DH option for the Mets off the board now. I don't think the Mets are that serious in Jose Abreu. I think the Mets believe that their DH option is internal. And again, if you want to use the DH spot to give guys days off on the field, I'd rather have that than see Vogel back and Ruff, and even try Vientos out. Like, Vientos showed me nothing. Vogelback is a 200 hitter. Ruff is a 200 hitter. I don't know. Well, Transistor, yeah, that's the problem. And Anthony, I'm going to look at your comment really quick. At worst, can they put Vogelback in kind of DH, go get a corner outfielder like Michael Brantley, and the center fielder replace LeBron? I don't like Brent. I don't like Cody Bellinger. I think ever since he dislocated his shoulder in that celebration in the pandemic season, he's not the same player, and you can't rely on guys to have comeback years in a win-now team like the Mets. You can't have that. AJ Pollock is past his prime. Brantley's too old. Again, you're talking about corner outfielders. Aaron Judge is that. This is what I don't understand. You're going with all these has-beens in Pollock and Bellinger and Brantley. And guess what? Aaron Judge is there for the taking, right? I don't want to hear about other corner outfielders when the Mets can actually sign Aaron Judge. Again, do I necessarily think the Mets should? No. But you can't tell me that the options are not out there and they're not going after them, or at least be highly competitive for them. It just doesn't make sense. And again, if you're going to go after Bellinger or Pollock or Brantley, why don't you just sign Michael Conforto? He's going to be just as cheap as all those guys, and he's younger than all of them. Well, besides Bellinger. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's weird to me how that works out. But it's like, you in need of a corner outfielder or even a center fielder. You got the opening. Use it to your advantage, right? You don't have to trade anybody. For all those prospect huggers that love to hug their prospects. Well, doesn't it make sense to sign Aaron Judge so you don't have to worry about trading your farm to get a power bat? But people don't look at it like that. No matter what you think of Aaron Judge, he will, even if you think he's never going to hit 60 home runs again, which I don't believe he will, but even if he hits 35 home runs, how many players are hitting more than that on the Mets right now? Pete Alonso. That's it. So he's already going to be, if not number 1 or number 2 in total home runs already from this Mets lineup. So, and if there was multiple power bats on the market where you can plug them in center field or right field or third base or second base, do it. But there's not. There's a couple of pretty damn good players right? I don't see the Mets going after Carlos Correa, even though he can probably hit 25 home runs, but that's unlikely. Xander Bogaerts is a nice player, but he's not a power bat. Swanson's not a power bat. Good player, but not a power bat. And Trey Turner is dynamic. He gives you multiple options where to play him, but he's not a power bat either. He's a leadoff hitter that can hit you 20 home runs. I don't know. So it's hard to think what the Mets can do. And once again, I will be doing a video tomorrow about Rafael Devers. And it seems like those Boston Devers negotiations are just not going anywhere. And you know what? People are like, oh, the Red Sox are not going to trade Rafael Devers. Why not? Their GM is Chaim Bloom. If Chaim Bloom hasn't taught you anything, he'll rather get 4 or 5 young quality prospects that are cheap than sign Rafael Devers, right? They traded Mookie Betts, right? Nobody thought that would ever happen. They did. And let's be honest, they didn't get a great deal back for him. So it is what it is. And it's frustrating because, like, nobody's saying Nimmo's a bad player, right? He's a quality, good player. But Nimmo doesn't move the needle enough for this team. If you bring back Nimmo, Turner's probably out of the question, right? I still believe it's either one or the other. It's not both. If it is both, I'd be happy to shut my mouth, to be honest with you. The Mets can shut me up, get in Turner and Nimmo, and now it's a whole new ballgame. But I think that's highly unlikely. And if they prioritize Nimmo over Turner, it's like, all right, great, we're bringing back the same team, especially if the Mets, who are reported to say that internally they think they have their DH option. Well, so if you internally have your DH option, it's guys who already have been in the lineup and bringing back Brandon Nimmo. So what are you doing to help this lineup be either more dynamic or more power? And we're just talking about the free agent market. And if the Mets are keen on trying to trade for Rafael Devers or trade for another power bat, well, they could have done that last the trade deadline. But no, they wait until after the debacle that we had in the last week of the season I was like, oh, we got the offseason. Well, great. So we just don't care about last season. I don't know. And we'll see. Do people believe Jacob deGrom is the statement signing? No. Again, I think the Mets had a very good offseason last year. But they didn't sign enough bullpen arms that I thought would have helped this bullpen a little bit more. And when they needed to help this team that was in first place with the power bat and maybe another bullpen arm, they completely spit the bit on that. And that was so frustrating, so annoying, extremely disappointing, because if anybody believed that Vogelback and Ruff was the answer at DH, they are not doing their jobs properly. And if you're a fan of that team, that thought it was a good idea, right? We had people on this channel that were so in love with Vogelback that they thought that it was a good deal and, oh, he's a good hitter. He's not a good hitter, okay? Don't tell me that a 200 hitter who hits 17 or 20 home runs is considered a good hitter and a power bat. You know what I consider a power bat? Somebody that hits 25 home runs or more, not somebody that hits 17 home runs. All right, that's not a power hitter, right? Marte hit that many home runs. Nimmo almost hit that many home runs, right? Canna almost hit that many home runs. Like, you just can't tell me that a power bat is Vogelback when he hits 17 home runs. It just doesn't do anything for me. I agree, New York committee. I agree. Devers will be the perfect fit. But you know what? We're not going to be the only suitors for Rafael Devers. That's the problem that the Mets are going to have. The Mets can sign anybody they want in free agency and not give up any prospects, right? That's the whole pat on the back that Billy Epper gave him in the trade deadline, right? He was so happy that he kept his top 25 prospects at the trade deadline, yet didn't help the team enough to get over through them dog days of summer into September. And it hurt the Mets, right? So what does anybody believe that Billy Epler is going to trade his prospect hugging self for Rafael Devers? right? So if you don't believe that, well, spend the freaking money, right? Stop it. Like, stop playing games here. You know what? Sign DeGrom, sign Senga, sign Nimmo, sign sign Aaron Judge, and there you go. Now you got your power bat. You know, you can work your way around the DH with, you know, if you want to give guys days off, if you want to still have an internal DH, that's fine. You got the power bat with Alonso and Judge. That's at least 60 home runs, possibly 70 to 75 home runs for just two batters. And who knows if, you know, with Lindor could get 25 home runs. And then you go from there. You get, you know, Marte hit 16, 17 home runs. Canna 14 home runs. You got, you know, now you're getting big time production out of two of your biggest hitters with the Mets locked last year, right? As good as Lindor was, the Mets still needed more with Alonso. So that just shows you bringing back Nimmo is not making this lineup better. It's the same lineup. You can't just bring back Nimmo and expect this lineup to be different than what it was. So what are we going to have? April and May of great offense, and then when you get into August and September, it'll be a complete debacle? I don't know. Well, Drew, you can't really sign Judge and Nimmo because that really does not make sense. You know, I get why you're doing it. You know, you can put Nimmo in center, you can, you know, or you can put Nimmo to the left, Marte in center, Judge in right field, and then you're really talking. But I mean, just common sense will tell you that if you're going to sign Judge, you're not going to sign Nimmo. Marte will go to center field. So, and you have Canner in left. So, but Drew, I didn't say that. See, you didn't listen to what I said. You know, I didn't talk about Rodon at all. And if the Mets are going to trade for Devers, I didn't say to bring Aaron Judge in. See, you got my words mixed up, or you're just not listening, Drew. All right. I didn't say sign Judge, Nimmo, Sanger, Rodon, and trade for Devers. I didn't say that. One, you've heard whatever you wanted to hear when it came to Rodon. I didn't even speak about Rodon. I don't think Rodon's realistic. I think the Mets are going to go after DeGrom and keep him. But why? Listen, the Mets should be able to sign all those players. This is MLB The Show, right? The richest owner in baseball by far, by the way. They should be able to do that. Again, it's not realistic. I get that. But I didn't say that, so don't put words in my mouth, please. Now, if you're talking about somebody else that said it in the chat, that's on me. But if you're speaking to me about that, I didn't say that they should sign all those players. I'm just saying you need an outfielder, you need a power bat. You're killing two birds with one stone, and that's Aaron Judge, right? You bring back Brandon Nimmo, you're bringing back the same lineup. Yeah, Steven, the only thing about Michael Conforto to the Cubs, I didn't hear that. But there's been rumors about the Mariners going after Michael Conforto. We all know Michael Conforto is from the state of Washington, and he went to a high school that's not too far around the Seattle area. So that's something that the Mariners might do. And let's be honest, they're probably going to lose Mitch Haniger. There's your right field option right there. So that's an option for the Mariners there. But again, when it comes to the Mets, the Mets can go a lot of different ways in this offseason, and I think could be a really good offseason. It's not like the Mets have one specific or two specific needs that they have to do. They have ways of going about it. You know, if you go Nimmo Turner, it's a pretty good dynamic offseason offensively, right? Because I think Turner and Nimmo together works very well. Especially, you know, if the 9-1-2 can be anywhere from Nimmo, Turner, and Marte, whichever combination you want to put. That's good, nice to look at. You can go Aaron Judge, and then you can work your way with other players that can be, not as dynamic as like a Turner and like that, but you could do little moves here and there because you got that power back, you got that 4-5 or that 3-4 in Judge and Alonso. That's something that you can actually do. And I think multiple moves with this lineup could, one, extend it, and two, make it more dynamic. And, if they want to really go dynamic, it's Trey Turner. If you want to go more power centered, it's Aaron Judge. Like, there's no one between. Blake, where do you hear the Turner to Mets? Haven't heard that once. Well, then you probably haven't been paying attention, because yes, there is talk about the Mets and Turner. The reason why you're not hearing about it now, and the only reason why people heard about it with the Phillies, was the fact that Bryce Harper and Trey Turner are friends. Any other rumor? You haven't heard about that either. The Turner rumors haven't been extremely exciting, because there is players for Trey Turner, like the Mets, who are doing what they got to do to retain Jacob deGrom. And if you watch SNY, if you watch Baseball Night in New York right now, they just talked about it. If the Mets don't go after Brandon, if the Mets lose out on Brandon Nimmo, they're turning their eyes onto Trey Turner, because that is the next available option that makes the most sense for the Mets. That's the rumor. That's the idea with Trey Turner. If you don't think, Trey Turner is an option for the Mets, then you're not really paying attention exactly what they actually need. Again, people keep on saying about Turner not going to the Mets. Like, everybody just says Turner's going to the Phillies. Why? Because he has a good time with Bryce Harper when they were in Washington. Their wives are friends. Oh, okay. That's great. But you know what? If the Mets put up the most money, guess where Trey Turner's going? All right. That's the factor that nobody wants to talk about. Right? The Mets, no player is taking a discount to go somewhere. It's just not happening. This is not what happens anymore in Major League Baseball. Players take the most money, wherever that is, right? Chris Bryant went to the Rockies because that was the team that gave him the most money. Where are the Rockies going? Chris Bryant knows the Rockies weren't going anywhere in a division that has the Giants, the Padres, and the Dodgers. TD. Let's see. Because money. That's why. The Mets did make the playoffs. Right? And why would he go to the Phillies? I mean, the Phillies finally made the playoffs after how many years? I mean, come on. You got to be realistic. Like, where else is Turner going to go? Could he go back to the Dodgers? I don't see that. I think they're going to be more focused. You even heard about Willie Adames that the Dodgers are interested in. So, TD, yeah, no, they're not. Just because they got hot in the playoffs doesn't mean they're better than the Mets. That's stupid, right? I mean, come on. Like, they have barely any rotation. If you think Nola's a good pitcher, watch what he did in the playoffs, right? Wheeler is your best pitcher. Suarez is a good pitcher, but not great. And you still got a ton of strikeouts in that lineup, right? And if you don't hit home runs, you don't win, right? That's the Phillies got hot at the right time. I'm sick and tired of people talking about the Phillies being great when they got hot at the right time. That's not a great team, right? Were the Washington Nationals in 2019 a great team? No. They got hot at the right time. The Braves last year were one of the worst teams record-wise going into the playoffs, and they won the World Series. They weren't a great team. They got hot at the right time. You got to understand how baseball works. You can't have 87 wins and say you're better than the Braves, the Mets, the Dodgers. You're not. No, you're a Phillies fan. That's why. How are they beast mode? I just don't get it. Like, they weren't great all year. They got really good in the second half that didn't get them anywhere except the third wild card spot, and they got hot at the right time. That's it. I believe they were going to beat the Braves because I think they matched up well against the Braves. The Cardinals are the Cardinals. I thought that was an even matchup, but the Phillies played well in that series. And the Padres, I don't think were a great team. So the Phillies didn't have to play anybody except for the Braves. Well, TD, that's even worse. So you're a Yankee fan talking about the Phillies being better than the Mets. So you're biased. I get it. It's okay. I mean, as a Yankee fan, I mean, who are you getting this year? I mean, let's be honest. Aaron Judge is probably going to the Giants. Well, Ken, well, I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm just, you just got to explain to people that. Like, baseball is now a game with more teams in the playoffs if you get hot at the right time. I mean, name me the last time the best team in baseball won the World Series. And don't give me the pandemic year with the Dodgers. All right. I mean, you can probably go all the way back. Like, technically, the Astros were one of the best teams in 2017, but that's like, iffy kind of, World Series there. So, TD, okay. I mean, if you care about jerseys, I mean, then I think the Yankees should change their jersey, right? I mean, they can't beat the Astros, so. Blake, but Turner has nothing to do with Lindor, right? Turner can play second. Turner can play center field. Well, Ken, that's the other issue. And again, I think people are getting too caught up in 100 win season, 101 win season. All the Mets got to do is make the playoffs, right? Baseball with this new setup in teams making the playoffs, and even the last 10 years, right? It came up to be the hot team getting hot at the right time, going deep into the world, going deep into the playoffs. That's basically what it's been for a while now, right? And that's how it goes. Like, I don't think if you're a Mets fan thinking that the Mets can improve on a 101 win season, that's hard to say, right? Blake, if the Mets pay him the most money, they will. Well, TD, I don't see why not. Like, why wouldn't he be? I just don't understand. Like, being biased doesn't mean he's not a good fit. Like, I just don't understand that. Mike, yeah, we don't need 101 wins, but we also have to make the playoffs. The Phillies aren't a bad team, right? You expect them to be better than 87 wins next year, depending on what they do, right? Right? They had the same bullpen going into the playoffs that finally pitched well. But that means their bullpen is good? No. Their bullpen was crap all year. And that's the other thing when it comes to the Braves too, right? The Braves in 2021, their relief pitching in the playoffs was great. And that's really the big reason why they won the World Series in 2021. People want to talk about, oh, look at Rosario, look at Soler. Yeah, but look what that bullpen did in 2021 in the playoffs. They had well under a 2 ERA in the bullpen. That was the big deal right there. And it came all the way back to when, what got the Phillies to the World Series really wasn't pitching. The bullpen was good, but it wasn't great. It was they striked out less and they hit a ton of home runs in the playoffs until they got to the World Series. Because when they got to the World Series and faced better pitching with a good bullpen, right? They had 51 strikeouts in 3 games, right? They came back to the Phillies that everybody knew in the World Series, right? Those home runs that they were getting against the Padres, against the Braves, and against the Cardinals, they weren't getting with the Astros enough to make it better for the World Series in that time frame, right? That was the whole idea, right? Their power was non-existent. The Phillies aren't a team that can knock 4 or 5 hits together in a row. They needed to hit home runs. They stopped doing that in the World Series, specifically for the last 3 games of the series, 51 strikeouts. That was exactly what the Phillies did all year and is why they had 87 wins. So if they were basically the same team, hot take, happy birthday, buddy. And that's the whole thing. And again, it's not, you can't say like the Braves fans used to just go, oh, the Braves are better than the Mets. But yet they, even until the end of the year, they didn't have a better record than the Mets. They won the division based on a tiebreaker, but you can't just look at a roster and say that team is better than that team. It doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and everybody's going to be biased towards their team. And I truly try to be unbiased when it comes to the Mets. Everybody knows me. I kill the Mets as much as any team. Like, you don't have to be a Phillies fan or a Yankee fan to kill my team because I do it just as much as everybody else. I don't have the rose-colored glasses on and, and act like, oh, don't worry, Vogelback's going to be great at DH. Oh, the Phillies are good. No, you have to look what's actually the good and the bad for all teams, right? I never said, like, the Brave fans used to kill me, but every time I was on a live stream, I used to give the Braves credit. But don't come on the channel and say the Braves are a better team than the Mets when the record didn't show for it last year. And because you won on a tiebreaker because the Mets fell apart in that 3-game series doesn't automatically mean you're a better team, right? Granted, the Phillies went further than the Mets and the Braves, but you can't tell me that the Phillies are better than both of those teams. And it has nothing to do with past history. If you're going to bring up past history, then you don't know how baseball works. You know what I'm saying? And it's like history means nothing to the majority of these players. And it shouldn't. Look, fans are going to bring back history because they love doing that. It pisses off some fans and it makes other fans happy, right? But we can go back history after every year and talk about every team, right? The Dodgers choke every year if it's not a pandemic year, right? If it wasn't for the pandemic, the Dodgers would have never won the 2020 World Series. Because you know why? Because the Dodgers don't win World Series when there's a real season going on, right? That's not being an ass. That's not being a biased Met fan. That's just facts, right? It took the Dodgers to win a World Series in a pandemic year where there was no fans, no traveling in playoffs, so you didn't have to go on the road. You played in a neutral site, and then when you got to the World Series, you played in Texas, where last time I checked, LA is kind of close to Texas, right? And Tampa Bay has no fans. So what were you going to get in the Texas new stadium? Dodger fans. So that's the most important thing right there. And even if the Mets would have won the 2020 World Series. Now, I tell Dodger fans this all the time. You can wave the championship flags. You can wear the shirts, wear the hats. That's fine. You're a fan. You're supposed to wear that stuff and fly those flags. But also be realistic. Like, if the Mets would have won the 2020 World Series, would I have a shirt? Absolutely. Would I have a flag? Would I have a hat? Absolutely. But I would actually come on this channel and say, is it really a real world championship? It's not. It's just not in 2020. Why do you think I gave a ton of credit to the Braves when they won last in 2021? Because they did it in a real season. Same thing that goes for the Nationals and last year with the Astros. Or this year with the Astros, excuse me. TD, I agree with you. Again, I'm not saying that Judge is going to the Mets. All I'm saying is the need that the Mets need, and the two biggest things they need is another outfielder and a power bat. There's one guy that provides both of those. That's why I said that. It's a match that should happen. Obviously, I don't think Judge would rather go to the Giants than go to the Mets. It's kind of like, you kind of, opening up that wound, but you're not throwing salt on it. If Judge goes to the Mets, you basically cut open that wound and put salt on it, right? With the Giants, you just cut and open the wound, right? But the funny thing is, look who the Yankees play on opening day at Yankee Stadium, the San Francisco Giants. So that salt on the wound might actually be the salt on the wound in opening day for you guys. But again, I believe Judge is going to the West Coast, but I'm just saying from the Mets perspective, they need an outfielder and they lacked power last year. Where else are they going to get power in the free agent market that can provide the power like an Alonso, like Aaron Judge? There's nobody, right? There's nobody. Can you see Correa hitting 30 home runs? Yeah, sure. Maybe Bogart? Sure. But I don't think those guys are realistic for the Mets. It's obvious Judge wants a lot of money. The Mets have all the money that anybody can ask for. But, if it's I still believe there is collusion between the Mets and the Yankees. I think there's a gentleman's agreement that they're not going to go after their players. It's just, I think that's Hal and Steve. They know each other. I believe they had that agreement, and I don't think those teams are going to go after each other's players. That's the only reason why I think the Mets are not going after Aaron Judge. But the needs are what the Mets need, and the needs are what the Mets need, and the need is Aaron Judge. Specifically, what the Mets need is what Aaron Judge is. And again, I don't think that's going to happen at all. I'm not going to stand here, wave my Mets flag, and say, go Aaron Judge. I don't believe it. So it's crazy to me. Mike, what's up? Turner, Bell, Reyes, Chafin, DeGrom, trade for Diaz, and let's go Mets. Diaz, I think you're talking about Diaz's Edwin's brother, right? That's what I think you're talking about. Like I said, I don't like Josh Bell that much, but I mean, again, I don't think the Mets are going after another DH. They already said they're going internally. I kind of believe him on that fact, right? Epler put everything into the Vogelback rough thing, and probably Vientos gets a shot as well. Hot take. Hell yeah, I wear a mustache. I might go beardless and mustaches. I might just show a plain face. I might look like I'm a year younger. But again, I put it this way. The only way I think Steve Cohen goes after Aaron Judge is if teams use the Mets to get more money from another team. You know what I'm saying? Like, put it this way. If you look at the Mets last year, right? Noah Syndergaard begged and cried like a baby for the Mets to give him the qualifying offer, even though he didn't pitch for 2 years, right? The Mets gave him the qualifying offer. He went with the qualifying offer and went to other teams to see if they give him more, and the Angels did. Syndergaard gone. So Steve Cohen was pissed off because he thought Noah Syndergaard was going to take the qualifying offer because he asked for it. And what did the Mets do? They traded for Chris Bassett. Steven Matz. Mets offered him a 2-year deal. Steven Matz said, all right. Everybody thought, even the Mets brass thought that Steven Matz was going to sign the contract. The next 2 days, he went to the St. Louis Cardinals and says, can you match it or give more? They gave a little bit more. He went to the Cardinals. What happened? The Mets signed Max Scherzer. Steve Cohen kind of has that attitude. If you're going to use us, we're going after it, right? That's the way he seems like he goes, right? He seems like you're not going to screw me and use my offers to get more money when you could have just came back to me. Because even Cohen said, even Epler said, they were willing to give Syndergaard a little bit more money to bring him back. But he never actually came back to the Mets. He went to another team to get that extra money. So Cohen's not going to let that happen. The only way I see, if Turner comes to the Mets, say, and says, all right, I'm interested in guys. The Mets like you were interested in too. And the Mets give him, I don't know, 7 years, $230 million, or 8 years, $230 million. And Turner's like, all right, I want to discuss it with my agent, my family. Sure, no problem. If he goes to the Phillies and says, can he do better? That's using a team that has the most money to get it from another team. If Cohen does that, if Turner does that, Cohen's pissed. And I'll tell you right now, that's when Cohen's probably going to go ape shit and probably go after Aaron Judge. That's how I think it can happen. Yeah, TD, the problem that I have is that if the Giants are serious about money is no object, as it's been stated for basically a year now, that the Giants were talking about Judge and they're not going to get outbid, I don't think the Yankees are going to go past $350 million. That's just my opinion. If you believe the story about the Mets giving 8 years, $337 million, then that's a nice offer. But how high, much more higher than the Yankees are going to go? Because I don't think they're going to go past 9 years, and I don't think they're going to go past 350. And I think that's where the Giants come in to give like $375, $400 million, because they're that desperate for Aaron Judge, in my opinion. So I think there's some news on Twitter. Give me a second, guys. Alrighty. So, according to MLB Scoops, the Dodgers have made an offer for Kodai Senga. The value is around 5 years, $70 million. MLB Network Joel Sherman just confirmed this as well. Mets and Padres also have offers on the table as well. Says Senga will make a decision in the next 24 to 48 hours. So, now we're getting heating up here. We're heading towards the winter meetings next week. Things are picking up here. Ho. Let's see. All right, let's see. Just checking something, guys. Let's just see if anything pops up. Besides that. All right. So, there you go. The Dodgers, it's kind of odd that the Dodgers contract is known or offer is known and not the Padres and the Mets, which is interesting to me. So the Mets are serious in Kodai Senga. I did say that, that I believe Senga was going to sign rather. I said in the next week, and that was last week. So I was close, but not that close. So next 24 to 48 hours. So that's, I'm guessing you counting today as the 24 hours and tomorrow the 48 hours, maybe. But so in the next day or two, Kodai Senga is going to make a decision. And again, Dodgers are aggressive, right? But again, we don't know the Mets offer. We don't know the Padres offer. Again, 2 weeks or about a week and a half ago, I stated on one of my videos about Kodai Senga that according to the Japanese reporter that has been following Kodai Senga around the states, stated in Japanese that the Mets, gave an offer to Kodai Senga when they met. So if that was legit, then the Mets had this offer on the table for a while. So what's concerning is what we just talked about with the Noah Syndergaard, Steven Matz situation. Is Kodai Senga using the Mets to get more money from other teams, like the Dodgers, like the Padres? That's something that you have to worry about. Does Kodai Senga really want to come to New York? We heard he wants to go to a big market. TD, I don't even think it's just about the money. It's just that, well, yeah, it is about the money, but it's like they seem to get everybody, and like nobody complains about it. Like people are complaining that the Mets are not going to go crazy and get all these players, but when the Dodgers get it, there's no lip about it at all. It makes no sense to me at all. Like it's crazy to me. But that is just the latest right now, guys. Kodai Senga got an offer from the Los Angeles Dodgers, around 5 years, $70 million. According to Joel Sherman on MLB Network, the Mets and Padres also made an offer to Kodai Senga. He's making a decision within the next 24 to 48 hours. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that. If the Mets get him, breaking news will happen. MLB Scoops MB, that was the latest. That's where I got on Twitter, MLB Scoops, and he's been pretty good. He called the Tyler Anderson signing with the Angels rather quickly before anybody else. MLB Scoops also last year had the Chris Bassett trade before anybody else as well. So he's been pretty good with his it's not a prediction, it's what he knows. Transistor, if you go on my channel, you can go on if you go on my channel page, there's a join button that you can just click and you can decide which membership you want. Again, there's more. I actually put the memberships together now. Like I don't feel it's right. You pay more, you get more. So no matter which membership you choose, you get a chance to win free giveaways. I'm going to be doing a couple of live videos for the members soon as well. So I'm going to be getting that as well. So, or you can just go on the chat box. There's a money logo there that says join membership. You can click that as well. You can just go to my channel page and click on join. And that's how you become a member, Transistor. I looked and he said nothing about the time frame. Look, I just got it right here, buddy. Here it goes. Source: Dodgers, this from MLB Scoops, have made an offer to Kodai Senga. The value is around 5 years, $70 million. MLB Network Joel Sherman Mets, Padres also have offers on the table. Senga will make a decision in the next 24, 48 hours. So two different people. If Joel Sherman says he's going to make a decision between 24 to 48 hours, I'm pretty sure that MLB Scoops probably has a leg up, which he's pretty good with the Los Angeles teams or the California teams. MLB Scoops has been pretty good with knowing a lot more with contracts and offers with California teams. I don't know if he's based there or not, but he seems to have the know because he called the Tyler Anderson signing before anybody else got it. So we'll see. So that's what we got right now. So let's see what else we got. Ken Rosendahl, free agent right-hander Trevor Gott, in agreement with the Mariners on a 1-year contract. Source tells the Athletic. Brewers non-tenant Gott earlier this month. So that's a pretty good, a decent small signing for the Seattle Mariners. Oh no, the only time frame was 24 to 48. I'm sorry. Joel Sherman said that on MLB Network. So if there's reports that kind of connect together, which they do, right? MLB Scoops, Joel Sherman making a decision 24 to 48 hours, and Scoops saying the Dodgers made an offer. And I'm assuming the Mets and Padres offer is very similar, if not better. It's just a matter of where Senga wants to go. So we'll see. So once again, guys, we're going to keep looking and keep on going after it the next couple of days. I'm going to hold back on MLB free agent frenzy until Wednesday. So tomorrow there's going to be a video like I was talking about with Rafael Devers, because the negotiations between the Red Sox and Devers continue to break down badly because the price range are very far apart from both of them. So I want to look at the possibility of the Mets possibly going after Rafael Devers if things turn sour in free agency and the Mets make a big run after Devers. I'm going to put together a couple of trade proposals and, you know, put up a poll to see which ones you guys like. So check out that tomorrow, 6 p.m. tomorrow. That video is going to come out about Rafael Devers. Again, it's all speculation and it's proposed trades by what I think would be worth going after Rafael Devers for, and we'll see what happens with that. And Mike, absolutely. The Mets are in a spot where they can explore every trade that's out there, every free agent that's out there. They got the money and they can make trades. And let's be honest, guys, the Mets do have what it takes to get big time players like Rafael Devers. They have it. They just have to be willing to give up those prospects. So with that said, guys, if there's any breaking news, if it comes down to Kodai Senga making a decision within the next 24 to 48 hours, according to Joel Sherman, then if it's the Mets, I'm going to run up going live with the breaking news. Again, it might be on my phone. It might be on my laptop, depending on where I'm at. But I'll definitely have that breaking news if Kodai Senga signs with the Mets. If he signs with another team, I'll probably do a YouTube short about it and just give him my opinion about that rather quickly. So with that said, guys, I will see you Wednesday with Mets Free Agent Frenzy on Wednesday. Don't forget, tomorrow, 6 p.m., Rafael Devers video will be coming out with a couple of possible trades, probably 3 possible trades that the Mets can offer the Boston Red Sox for Rafael Devers. With that said, guys, let's hope our New York Mets find a way and Senga picks the Mets to their offer and he comes to the New York Mets, and that helps the rotation out quite a bit. And we'll see what happens with Jacob deGrom. It seems like Jacob deGrom's decision is coming up very soon as well. So with that said, everybody have a good night. Don't forget tomorrow, guys, if you're into the World Cup, USA faces Iran tomorrow. They can go on to the round of 16, and we'll see if USA can beat Iran and make it to the next round. And don't worry, guys, we will have all the latest Mets news and rumors right here on the channel. So keep in touch. If you haven't subscribed yet, or if you subscribed and not sure, if you want to continue to keep on coming to this channel, give it a chance, guys. I assure you, we are going to have fun in this offseason. Everything you need with our New York Mets is right here on the channel. So with that said, guys, everybody have a good night. As always, Met fans, let's go Mets. I'll see you Wednesday, and check out the video 6 p.m. tomorrow about Rafael Devers to the Mets. Everybody have a good night. See you next time, guys.
We got the teamwork to make the dream work. Let's go. We're gonna make it this time. We're gonna take it home. Let's go. Do it. Do it. Make it happen. Where there's a Mets man, you'll find a Mets fan. Let's go. This is a Mets year for all your Mets here.